Welcome to Wiggys. Today we're not going to go into the sophisticated testing laboratory. Today we're going to talk about a variety of things. The first thing I'm going to show you is the very first sleeping bag I ever made. This was the first Lamellite bag. I made it in about 1970, 71. And I was showing it to the manufacturers of sleeping bags at that time. And, well, unfortunately for them, nobody took me up on it. But as you can see, the red lining is laminated to what was then Polyguard, and everybody in the industry at that time used these number 10 molded tooth zippers. So that's what I used. Today nobody in the industry uses molded tooth zippers except Wiggys. It was then, and it is now, still the best zipper ever put into a sleeping bag. The one thing that this bag did not have, because I was naive, was a draft tube. But it didn't matter, because this I used on my boat. And on the boat it was mostly warm weather, and into the early fall till you had your insurance stopped, I think, in October on Long Island Sound. And if you wanted to go longer than that, it probably doubled. But it lasted until I got off the boat, which I wouldn't sell with the boat. And as you can see, it's in good condition. You know, I don't know how many times it got laundered. But one of the beauties of this was that when I was a liveaboard, people saw this because it fit into a very small stuff sack. And a lot of guys wanted to buy it from me. And one guy offered me $200. And back in 1974, 75, $200 was a lot of money to a guy living on a boat. Bottom line is, I said, I'll have your $200 and you'll have my sleeping bag, and I won't have a sleeping bag. So I never sold it. So it now hangs back here, and I'm going to send it to the Smithsonian maybe. Now I get all these questions about stuff sacks. This is the radial compression stuff sack. As you can see, it's got these 4 straps. You put the sleeping bag in, and you start pulling on the webbing. And this is the super light, extra long wide body bag. And you can see when I open up the tension, it comes back very quickly. And go to pull it out. And that's it. This is the top-down, the more popular compression stuff sack. I personally like the radial model because that way you can tie it on the back of your backpack, the top, straight down the middle, on the bottom. And this, the more you compress it down, the more it gets to look like a volleyball. And in here is also a super light. You can see how it springs back. This is the regular wide body. Anyway, so that's the compression stuff sacks. Of course, we have them in small to 4XL, which is over on the wall. You can see that. Now, another question that's been posed to me occasionally deals with the two-bag system and putting them together. Here is the overbag, and you can see you've got your outside zipper, normal, but on the inside there's a zipper track that's visible, and there's a zipper track behind the draft tube. And that's very important because when I put this bag inside of this one, when you close it up, you want the draft tube to cover the zipper. Historically, I was talking with the Marine Corps major, and I've written this up, and he went to all the manufacturers in the early, like 1993 at the Outdoor Retailer Trade Show, which I didn't exhibit at anymore. And he was asking for a two-bag system. And that was in February. I was talking with John in May, and he told me nobody would give him a sample. I said, well, let me think about it. So I sat down with my production manager and I said, how do we put a couple of zippers on the inside that can join with the zipper on? Then it was the ultralight 20-degree bag, because all he wanted was a 20 below zero capability. And this is what we came up with. And a week later I called him up and I said, John, we've got a two-bag system for you, and he ordered 12. Sight unseen. Well, time goes by, and I get a call from the Navy SEALs out in San Diego, and they're looking for the same type of a setup. So I explained to him what I was doing with this Marine Corps major, 20 above zero to 20 below zero, and he said, not good. I need 40 below. So we took the ultralight and replaced it with the superlight. Now we came to 40 below zero. This has been the standard for the military ever since then. Now, in the meantime, I started going to a couple of retailers that I did business with. And one of them down in Durango, when I went to him, I I went through the whole line of bags. And then I said, I got one special to show you. And I showed him this bag system. And he said, wait a minute. And he went into the back room of his store. And he came out with a 2-bag system where the 2 bags integrated exactly the same way. And here I thought I was a genius. And the company that made the bag system was, because it is there, and it was a partnership of a guy named Jim Whittaker, who was the first American to summit Everest, and a fellow named, I can't remember Jim's last name, but he was the guy that ran the business. And I called him up, and I told him the story. And I said, if I'd actually seen what you did, I would have copied it immediately. You know. Now, people get the system from us, and they take it apart, and a year goes by, and they want to know how to put it back together again. So, here's what you do. The heavyweight bag, and this is standard with all the systems. The heavyweight bag goes inside the lightweight bag. The lightweight bag is called an oval bag. Oh, and that's the reason it goes over. You've got the zipper from the bottom of the heavyweight bag, which joins to the zipper like so. Now that is the easy part. Now you've got the zipper track behind the draft tube that joins up with the zipper track from the top half of the bag. And this is something that you got to work out a little bit and get used to it, because with these number 10 molded tooth zippers, you have to have both of those sliders against each other in order for the pin to seat properly. And once you get it seated properly, it does you got to play with it a little bit, you know. Anyway, I will get it. I should have had somebody that does this, putting them together, do it for us. Okay, it's started. And once you get it started, you get around that tight point there. Cookie, you want to help me? Oh, she's taking notes again. Now that you've got the two bags together, You come back. And now the only zipper you're concerned with is the outside zipper. And the outside draft tube and the inside draft tube give a tremendous amount of covering of this area because this is a 40 below zero bag. Now the other thing I'm going to show you about this zipper is this is what's known as the breakaway zipper. When you buy a bag from us with a breakaway zipper, the zipper stops here, but there's extra pieces. And the reason for those extra pieces is so you can pull the zipper slider right above it, and that opens up. And then all you do is take the slider down to the bottom, and you start all over again. Having that breakaway zipper can be extremely beneficial if you ever have a problem with the zipper, because some guy somehow jumped the teeth and he sent the bag back, and I looked at it and I couldn't figure out how he did it. And after a while I said, well, the best thing to do is just run it up to the top, break it apart, and that's all that had to be done to repair the zipper. Okay, the Australian military gave me an order for 10,000 bags, and they wanted this breakaway zipper when I showed it to them. And because of them being such a big customer, I decided to incorporate it into all of my own sleeping bags, and I've been doing it ever since. So that's these two items. Now, here's an item that I came up with 1992. This is the hypothermia bag. I had a tremendous amount of help from several EMTs. I'm not an EMT. I'm somebody that makes things. They wanted an opening, so if they had to put an oxygen mask on somebody, they could do that. They wanted it to be able to open up and keep this out of the way. Then over here we have slits, so if they have to put IVs into somebody. This is if they have to put a catheter in. And there was another use that a doctor who did a high mountain rescue in Utah told me. We had the flap going down this way, and he said it'll improve this product dramatically is if you have the flap coming down, because they could run lines through here when they're suspending somebody down a cliff. So that was an easy change. Then I was asked to put a zipper in, so if the person had a bad left foot that they needed to work on, you could split this so the right foot would still stay covered up and insulated. Then you've got straps on it for 10 people to hold a person. You've got openings here where you could put in a board if it's necessary. These zippers zip completely around. So the two halves separate. On the inside, we've got a pocket that you could put a heat pack. And these are made with waterproof materials, which is very important because of body fluids. And of course, they can be laundered in sterilizing temperatures. And we started selling these things to the Coast Guard. They have them on all the choppers between Los Angeles and all over the state of Alaska, from Elizabeth City up into Maine, the Great Lakes, the Coast Guard Polar Seas and Polar Explorers carry these on their ships. We sell oodles of them to the Canadians. This eventually was given a U.S. national stock number, and it has 2 Canadian national stock numbers, one for orange and one for green. Here is my insulated flotation suit. I came across a very thin flotation foam years ago, and from my sailing days I always wanted to have an insulated flotation suit, something that you could work in. So I made this one. You can't swim in it easily. You wind up floating on your back. Since I was the one that tested it, I jumped into the water and it immediately flipped me over. When I came out of the water was running down the inside of the suit. When I say the inside of the suit, I don't mean in here. I mean between the lamellite insulation and the foam. And it filled up the legs. They were bulbous, this big. And I thought, this is no good. So we put a mesh down at the bottom, so as you're coming out of the water, all the water's draining out of through here. Reflective tape that's made. The hood has it up here, and what happens is, also what I found out when I fell into the water, was the hood was not up, and when I laid back, the hood came over my head. So that meant to put it over here, so you've got 3 points that'll be picked up by light. Then we've got these 2 stainless steel D-rings and seatbelt webbing that becomes a chest harness. And I've had people that are blue water sailors crossing the oceans using these. I've had people in the Great Lakes. Don't get too many Coast Guard people using them, except if they use them on their own. But it's a work suit. It's not the Gumby suit. When you go up on deck, you're wearing this, and if that boat suddenly has a problem that you have to get into the water, nobody goes below to put on that Gumby suit. You're already wearing this, and you will float. Most of what we make is international orange. We do make some of it in woodland camouflage for duck hunters. The next item I want to show you, which is on the website, just like these other two items are. This is something that I developed for the Air Force. This is a snowsuit, the walk-around sleeping bag. As you can see, it's a snowsuit. However, these legs on the inside separate, and now you put this together, and you have a sleeping bag. We vacuum pack this with the mucklucks and mittens. This closes up the end. There's no zippers on it. Everything is hook and loop. And when you have 3-inch wide hook and loop, it doesn't separate easily. This was field tested by the survival instructors up in Elmendorf at about, 20 or 30 below zero. And it has the L12 insulation in it. This flotation suit has the L6. The hypothermia bag has the L15. So, and here are 3 examples of the vacuum packed products. And this is under about 20 tons of pressure. This is the oldest one, and I guess it's 10 years old. We didn't have a date on that one. We date them all when we send them to air bases, so they know what day it was vacuum packed and what year. But this is an Ultima Thule bag, I believe. This is an ultralight. This is a Antarctic bag. And believe it or not, this snowsuit with the mucklucks and the mittens is about this size when it's vacuum packed. So those are some of the things that we do almost on a daily basis. You'll notice that I have my competitor up here taking all this in, but I don't think he's making any headway because it's still empty in there. These are, as I said, some of the things we do. There are other things that I've done over the years that are not necessarily a part of the line. You know, we get requests for a lot of stuff that I can't talk about, you know. But I'm very proud, you know, that they come to me for it, you know. I did try and get Cookie. Come here, baby. I did try and get her to lay down on her bed out here, but she prefers not to. All people that have dogs should have a dog like Cookie. You know. You know, she's very obedient and a loving creature. Anyway, that's all I have for you in today's video. You know, we're getting a lot of orders, I'm happy to say, for fishnets. Oh yes, one last thing. I almost forgot. Some time ago I saw a material that I wanted to use to make something that you could wear on top of the fishnets. And I finally found something that you can see is very, very airy. It's very soft. It's got some stretch to it. It's 100% nylon, just like the fishnets. Comes from the same supplier. And I'll be making a sample, probably tomorrow or Friday. And I'll photograph it and put it up on the website. It'll probably be in the same price range as the fishnets. And I'm only going to make a top to begin with. I've ordered in material, so we'll be able to get into production on this very shortly. But this is something that will further enhance the barrier between your skin and that third layer and allow the moisture to get away from you. You know, it's the number of people that are buying fishnets today is very, very pleasing to me. So this is the next thing that you're going to see out of Wiggys. Thank you very much for your time and taking the time to watch the video, and we'll see you soon. Bye.